my dear YouTube viewers. Today what we are going to see is in the medical field, there is a gastrointestinal bleeding. How this manifests? Like there are two types of bleeding. One is upper gastrointestinal bleeding, one is lower gastrointestinal bleeding. What are the upper gastrointestinal bleeding? The bleeding may be from the esophagus or from stomach or part of the small intestine. What are the small lower intestinal bleeding, lower gastrointestinal bleeding? That means that's from the large intestine, mostly from the large intestine. So today what we are going to see is upper gastrointestinal bleeding, how it manifests itself in several ways. Blood may present in vomiting and either be a bright red or look like a coffee ground. That means digested blood. That coffee ground means there is a digested blood. In the upper gastrointestinal bleeding may also cause a passage of black, terry stools due to the blood passing slowly from the stomach to the colon. So whenever the blood is going to the colon, that's digest, and because of digestion, the color will change to the black or brownish in color. If the bleeding is massive, the stool may be maroon in color. Now we are going to see the condition which will induce the upper gastrointestinal bleeding. One is the esophageal trauma. The bleeding may be occur from the tear in the esophagus, often caused by vigorous vomiting or gagging or some foreign body tearing your esophagus. Next is esophageal tumor. The bleeding is accompanied by progressive difficulty in swallowing. You may experience chest pain and weight loss. Third thing is esophagitis. It's an inflammation of the line of the esophagus may bleed. That means, whenever there is an inflammation in the esophagus, you'll be having a linear ulcer in the esophagus. That may bleed sometimes. That is the reason in esophagitis, patient may have the blood vomiting or whenever there is a black stools, it can happen. Then is the gastritis. An inflamed lining of the stomach may bleed. That means sometimes there is a erosive gastritis that can bleed, that can give you a vomiting sensation, or like you will be having the black stool. Next will be the peptic ulcer. Bright red blood may appear in the vomiting, or blood may appear in the stool, causing it to be black and tarry. Navel pain in the upper abdomen between the navel and the breastbone is common when there is a bleeding from the gastric ulcer. The pain is generally worse in an empty stomach. I already talked about this empty stomach, because the empty stomach pain is due to when there is a gastric secretion is more in the empty stomach, so you will be having a pain or bleeding on that time. We completed the upper gastrointestinal bleeding. Thank you very much. We'll see in the other chapter.